I'm Breanna.
And I'm Elise. We're sisters. And this is Chit-Chat and Cheers.
Let's do this thing. Everybody ready?
Always ready.
Always ready. Okay. Hello. Welcome back, everyone. We are back after an extended hiatus. You thought you were going to get rid of us, but you were not that easily to escape our clutches. We're back.
The holidays tried, but they did not succeed.
They did. We've overcome a few obstacles. We had holidays in there and then some family medical things. And then I decided to get strep last week. We were going to record last week. And then my children gave me the lovely gift of strep. So
are you feeling better?
I am feeling better. Although it's funny because we talked about this earlier today. You said you were going to drink what you were going to have to drink. And then I was like, I probably shouldn't drink alcohol whilst I'm on antibiotics. So I am drinking a lovely non-alcoholic mixed drink. Have you heard of the company? This is not sponsored. What is it called? Curious Elixirs. Have you heard of them?
Yeah, I've seen it advertised.
Yeah. So this is two of them mixed together.
Your glass is
it's
pretty.
okay. It's okay. It's not great. I'm not going to lie to you.
I'm drinking. Have you heard of, I don't know how you say it. It's an Australian company, Liars or Liras.
Mm-mm.
This is their non-alcoholic champagne. Hold on. They have a, I'm looking this up while I talk to you. They have a gin and one that's supposed to be like a gin and tonic type one. That's really good. Yeah, Lyres, Lyres. Their gin and tonic one is my favorite. This champagne one is, it's okay.
Well, we're both underwhelmed with our drink selections tonight, but that's okay because we have a very exciting topic, which we'll get to here shortly. But before we dive into that, how are you? How are your holidays? I know we've talked a little bit, actual sister relationship, but for the podcast and the listeners, how was your holiday?
It was pretty good. Just after Christmas, though, my father-in-law went into the hospital just after Christmas with sepsis and was there for the better part of a month. And my mother-in-law, unfortunately, was overseas. So John spent the better part of January in Oklahoma with his dad at the hospital, and I single-parented. But all is well that ends well. Claire is home and healing well, and John and the whole family were back together.
Nice. Perfect.
What about you? How are your holidays?
My holiday was good. The holiday was good overall. It started out in a rough patch. We all came down with that nasty norovirus that has been going around. So that wasn't ideal. I'm not going to lie to you, but we recovered in time for Christmas Eve. So that was good. And then just honestly had a really chill holiday. I worked a couple days here and there intermittently between those kind of 2 weeks for Christmas and New Year's, but was off a chunk as well, which was really, really nice. So we just kind of did staycation stuff. It was good. And then last weekend or 2 weekends ago, we took the kids to go snowboarding and skiing for the first time, which was
how
funny. So my husband's family all grew up skiing and snowboarding. They're very good at it, all of them. You and I did not.
I've never been. I know you've been a couple of times. But.
Yeah. So we never grew up doing that. So when I met my husband, I was my early 20s and started going with them, and they all snowboard except for his mom, who's a skier. So I was like, okay, well, I'm going to snowboard. And I used up his sister's old equipment. It was perfect because I fit into her some of her stuff. So I never got good at snowboarding. I was actually quite terrible at it still, but I could make my way down the mountain. Well, then, we got pregnant and had 2 kids. So I haven't been snowboarding in probably the better part of 6 or 7 years. So it's been a while. And so now that we were taking the kids and this was kind of my first opportunity to go back again after, having the little ones, it's like, you know what, I'm going to try skiing because I've always heard that
it's easier to learn, harder to master.
Exactly. Yes. If you just want to be able to go down the hill, your hair is a little. That's kind of the opposite. It's fine. It's a good look on you. If you just want to, that's right. That's true. If you just want to be able to go down the hill, skiing is better because you can just snow plow your way down. But snowboarding, if you want to get good at it, is better. I I don't really care about getting good. I just want to be able to go down the hill.
I just want the cute outfit.
I was like, I'm going to do skiing this time. So we took Nora and Luke. Nora did snowboarding. Luke did skis. I didn't think he was old enough to do snowboard. I thought you had to be a little bit older to snowboard, but apparently that was wrong. But they did great. They loved it. They had a great time. Nora did really, really well. Chris was teaching her how to do it. And she was actually at one point saying, Daddy, get away from me. I want to go farther. So it was good. So then I went skiing. I started on the bunny hill. That was fine. And then Chris was like, okay, let's go up to like the green run, which is like the easiest of the like actual hills. And so we get up there and he goes down and I'm kind of following him, kind of very slowly making my way. But I'm like, okay, I can kind of like figure this out. So no one really showed me how to do it. Unbeknownst to me, his whole family assumed that I had been skiing before and that I knew how to do it. I did not. It was kind of similar enough to snowboarding that I could kind of like figure it out. But what no one told me was how, once you have fallen, how to get up. So I fell, which is expected when you're learning. And I go to get up like I would get up if I had a snowboard on. And I just keep sliding further and further down.
That's how I would get down the mountain. I'd be like, I'm just going to sit here and go.
And so I'm like laughing hysterically because it's just so comical that I can't get up. Like I've fallen and I can't get up literally. And so of course I'm like directly underneath the ski lift. And so everyone's going by and just basically like pointing and laughing at this idiot who's just laying there, basically like scooching down the mountain. And eventually Chris gets to the bottom and he realizes I'm not behind him anymore. And so he thinks that I'm hurt. And so he gets up on the chairlift and like goes back up and he sees me from the chairlift and he's yelling at me like, stay there, I'm coming. And I'm just kind of like trying to like wave him off, like to let him know I'm fine. And so he finally gets down to me. He was like, what's wrong? What happened? I'm like, I can't get up. And he's like, are you kidding me right now? I'm like, no. So he had to show me like you have to point your skis like parallel to the bottom and then like use your poles in one hand to like hoist yourself up. I could not do it. So it was just funny. Like after that time, I was a little bit better. Like I had more control of myself, but for the while there, I was going to be stranded on the mountain.
I've been snowboarding. I've never been skiing. I went snowboarding one time in Asheville, North Carolina, which isn't even like super big mountains, with a girlfriend and her husband of mine when I lived in North Carolina when I was at Camp Lejeune. And I broke the snowboard because I was like trying so hard to use my feet to steer that I like popped it out. And they were like, the guy was like, we don't see that real often. I like fell, like, you know how they have like the fans and stuff on the sides of the mountain? I like fell into that pit where the fans are.
You fell off the mountain.
I did. And the people were just like, is she okay? And I was like, I'm done. I'm just going to sit up there and drink a beer or a hot toddy.
That's when you just go to the lodge and get a drink.
Yes. But John goes skiing pretty, I mean, it's probably been a couple of years since he's been, but like he goes often enough that he's good enough at it that he enjoys it. And we do the Epic Pass. So I think in the next year or two, we're going to try and take the kids.
Yeah.
And they'll probably be like doing circles around me on the bunny hills, but I'm getting too old. I'm like, I'm going to break a femur if I keep trying to do this.
I just keep seeing all these like 65-year-olds who are like zipping down the hill, no problem. Like if they can do it, I can figure this out.
Yes.
And like you said, I just want to be able to, you know, in the next handful of years, I'd like to be able to take the kids out to like Colorado or like somewhere. And I want them to be good at it because it's a skill that we never had growing up. Right. And I like when we're going on these family trips, I want to be able to not just be sitting in the lodge while they're out having fun. So,
right. Like I said, I just want the cute ski outfit.
Yeah, there you go. That's good.
But let's talk about the most exciting part of the holidays. I finally joined a Lifetime Gym.
I know. I've been a member. Me and the kids have been a member, and my husband, for over a year. We love it. We go all the time. And I don't
more than a year because Nora's done camp there for what, 2
years?
Yeah,
that's true. It's been probably a better part of 2 years, actually. Thank you for letting you say that. I don't particularly like working out. In fact, my husband will tell you that I'm allergic to it. But I do know if I go, there's 2.5 hours of childcare per day. So I can go work out quickly for like an hour and then I can sit and have a coffee or there's a salon there so you can get your nails done. I know. So I go because I get instant gratification of mommy time afterwards.
So we joined and we got like a month of free swim lessons. So they're doing that. I think next week is the first, or February 1st is like when we'll have to start paying for it, but they're loving it so much and they've gotten so much better. They've actually already graduated a class.
Nice.
And so we're going to just keep doing it. And then this summer, she said, depending on how they do in the next couple of months, they may actually be ready for swim team instead of swim lessons.
Ooh, that would be exciting.
But then I did like a consultation with a trainer. And then today was my first like workout with a trainer. She said, if I texted her what I've eaten the last 3 days, she'll send me the workout plan. I'm afraid to do it. I couldn't think I ate that many carbs. And then I wrote it down.
I know. Isn't that funny? You think you're doing so good and you're like, oh yeah, I did have that granola bar and I did have that second cup of coffee with creamer
or in my case, 2 Olive Garden breadsticks and a bowl of the gnocchi soup, but that's fine. I didn't get the pasta.
It's fine.
Yeah. For lunch today, I actually was really proud of myself. I had ground turkey and roasted broccoli and cauliflower, and then I was hungry all day.
That's nice. I'm very spoiled. My office provides lunch every day, but then it's like you go down there and it's like, oh, you can have the salad bar or you could have a hamburger, a cheeseburger, or these French fries, or all the not healthy stuff. So you have to be kind of disciplined.
They have a cafe at my job, so like we could go get it. But some days you walk in and you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
DoorDash or yogurt.
Yeah. Today's menu, what was it? It was, we were joking about it in the team I work on. It was, Philly cheese, ground beef, sloppy joes.
Well, was it delicious?
I didn't have it. I took a pass today.
She limits herself to 2 things in the name.
You can only put 2 different food items into one for me.
I'm going to get a refill before we get started on our topic. That way I don't have to get up in the middle of it. Give me 1 second.
You're good. It's fine. All right. Should we get to the topic?
We should.
Refreshed us? I do want to call attention to your beautiful robe, by the way. You're still on brand with your pink, but you're just very cozy.
John bought this for me, our children's very first Christmas, and he has loathed the day ever since because it's like I come home and I put on this pink fuzzy robe, and he's just like, "Could you?" Actually, the other day I was wearing the sweater Granny knit us. You know, those giant, bulky, they don't fit anyone's sweaters, but they're so warm. And he looked I had it on and then I had my pink robe on over it. And he just looked at me and he goes, are we at that stage in our life where we only wear things people made for us?
So I also have an ugly pink sweater that's like, or robe that's like fuzzy and stained that I wear every morning. And it's so cozy. I don't ever want to give it up. But I typically wear socks to bed. I know I'm a monster. Like,
yeah, you're weird.
I know. My feet get cold and I can't sleep. Like, it's all I can think about.
That's what your husband's for. You stick your feet between his little
we have a divider and we do not cross the divider.
Oh, no, he doesn't touch me. Just my toes get to be warm.
No, we don't touch each other.
Or I take a hot water bottle to bed. Or I have these slippers I can put in the microwave. I have a lot of things that keep my feet warm.
Yeah, I just do socks. So, which is funny because like
that seems simpler.
Half the time in the middle of the night, I get hot and I'll kick them off in my sleep. And so when I go to change the sheets, there'll be like just a stockpile of socks at the bottom of the bed. But yeah, my husband is like, you're another breed with your old ratty robe and your like big socks. Just like,
I love everything about it. It's so soft and cozy. Although John's mom bought me this one. I call it my Ice Queen robe. It's a lot thicker than this one, but it's got like a hood with fur and the fur lines the arms.
Oh, you're like very like Elsa.
Yes, I'm like, I feel very much like I need to start screaming, let it go at 6:00 in the morning when I let the dog out. My neighbors don't love that.
You're just trying to help Ducky, relieve herself.
She won't go pee by herself. I have to walk her all the way over to her little patch of grass. And then if she poops, she'll look at you and I'm like, no, you have to pee too.
What do you want from me?
Things need to happen.
What more do you want from me, woman? I did one of the tasks you asked of me.
This morning, she was being such a pill. My neighbor brought the girl, like those little rubber bands kids make bracelets out of.
Yeah.
Well, our neighbor brought over a huge tub and the kids have just gone nuts. Well, Ducky has decided she likes to eat rubber bands. So yeah, I've been pulling those out of her mouth and I've found bracelets. And she found like a little toy she was chewing. So I think she's bored and she's getting into the kids' stuff now. You have your own toy box, Ducky.
Yeah, I hope she doesn't ingest those. That probably would be really bad for her.
Rainbow poop.
She's going to be finding it out in the yard.
All right. To our topic for today.
To the topic. So today we have for you all, our discerning listeners, we are going to dive into the world of astrology and talk about our 2025 horoscopes. So we're almost a month in now to the new year, but for circumstances outside of our control. We are, a little bit late to the New Year type things, but we're still going to do them because there's, it's still valid. You still have the whole year that it's going to play out. So before we jump in,
I didn't even start dry January until January 20th. So
count it. Your weekend. So I have Elise's horoscope and she has mine. We have not seen them. We're going to read them to each other and kind of gauge reactions, what we think that's going to apply to us or not, or how that could possibly work into things that we already know are coming down the pipe. But before we do that, I just wanted to kind of briefly talk about, and this might be a really good episode for like its own episode. I had no idea how involved astrology was. So for a little bit of context, the app that I used, it's called CoStar. That's where I got our horoscopes from. So when you do it, you have to enter not only your birthday, which is what I was expecting, right? Because I know, like, I'm a Gemini. You're a Leo, right?
Leo.
Yeah, you're a Leo. I was like, oh, I know that. But apparently, it also, you need your exact time of birth and your location of birth, because what happens, and someone who is listening to this actually knows about astrology. I apologize that I'm explaining this very poorly. I listened to a podcast about it. That's the extent of my knowledge. So apparently, you have to, you get like a map that's of all the planets at the exact time location of your birth, right? Because if you were born in Indianapolis versus LA, the sky is going to look different. And you take that and then you overlay it with a like kind of like a spherical grid, like kind of like a spider web looking grid. And then the different sections of the grid correspond with different, they call them houses, but like different parts of like what your like horoscope pertains to. So like, like career versus relationships versus like travel, et cetera, et cetera. And then depending on what planet is where and like what your sign is and how they're moving, it all impacts like how the prediction is and what it correlates and like translates to. So I had no idea it was that involved. And apparently it's not just, so I'm not just a Gemini. When you have your like what you say, what you are, you have your sun sign, which is what most people know, right? Gemini, Leo. But then you also have your moon sign, and then you have your rising sign. So, and that all,
is all that in this thing you sent me? Because I don't remember reading that.
Yeah, I have yours. So, I'm not going to share obviously our exact like time.
I see it.
Yeah, I'm not going to share like our time, date, and all that of our birthday and where we were born.
Give you my social security number at the end of the show.
No, you have to be a paying subscriber for that. I've already told them.
Right.
Don't give away the
This
cow.
is like all to me. So Sloan has been obsessed with watching Hercules lately.
The Disney one?
Total
Ooh.
like all the planets have to be perfectly aligned.
That kind of is like,
is my hair out?
That kind of is what it is. It's like, I don't know. It's just really fascinating. Again, I that might be a better topic for maybe like a whole nother episode where I have time to like research and actually explain it somewhat.
Let's get through January.
Legibly.
It's the worst month of the year.
Yeah, right. So
no offense to all of you January people.
So for me, I'm a Gemini sun, I'm a Sagittarius moon, and I'm a Libra rising.
Yes,
and you,
that's what it says.
So I just know that because I wrote that down.
Okay, well, I can see it, so I know it's true.
I know she's not lying. And you, my dear, let me get back to yours. Okay. You are a Leo sun, you're a Leo moon, and you're a Pisces rising.
Aren't Pisces supposed to be particularly difficult?
I don't know. So that's the thing. I don't know any of the, like what any of it means. I just know like.
What does it mean if I'm the same of both? Like Leo, I'm a super Leo.
So the different, again, I'm doing this all off of a memory of a podcast I listened to a week ago. The difference. So the sun is your core identity. The moon is your emotional nature. So your emotion. And then the rising sign is your outward persona.
I'm gonna have to look up what a Leo's nature is.
See, that's why I think this whole, like actually like digging into like our actual like that astrology, I think would be a good another episode of like what they all mean and how they kind of correlate. It's really interesting. I'll send you, and I'll link the podcast I'm talking about in the show notes. It was called, I can tell you. It was called Astrology for Beginners by Stefanie Kate Boucher, Boucher.
Boucher.
I'll link it in the show notes and I'll send it to you. But it was actually really, really interesting. So yeah.
Well, what was it a few years ago when they changed? Like they said, like everybody's astrology signs changed. Do you remember?
Oh, really?
That?
No.
Like something happened, and I don't think it had anything to do with Pluto not being a planet, but like something weird happened. They're like, oh, everybody's astrology signs changed.
I mean, it might have, because the planets are like, the planets also impact like things. So it might have been when Pluto got changed.
But I feel like that happened when we were younger.
Yeah, that was like when we were in grade school, wasn't it?
Let's see here. It says, due to a change of the Earth's axis and the movement of the solar system and stars, the current position of the zodiac signs are different than that of 2,000 years ago. Since the Earth's axis swings in a circle of 26,000 years. I don't know. Anyway, someone was saying that like they should have changed. Google, you may have done me wrong.
Yes. Well,
anyway,
you know what? We're gonna put a pin in this. Let us know, listeners, if you would be interested in us diving into the world of astrology and like how that actually is calculated in your star chart. All those good things. If you're interested, I just think it's interesting. Like the method behind it. But for today, we're just going to talk about our 2025 horoscope as predicted on CoStar, which I've heard, around that CoStar is a good app to use.
It's not the newspaper.
It's not the bedside astrologer from Cosmo. That's for sure. We were very on time right then.
I know.
It's like we planned that.
It's been too long since we've communicated. Okay. Yeah.
It's been too long since we communicated. So how this is sectioned out is it's sectioned out by season. So it'll have like your horoscope for winter, spring, summer, and then kind of like into next year, and then kind of summarize it up. So what I thought we could maybe do is I'll do all of yours and then you can do all of mine, but I'll go by like sections, and then you can kind of like interject and kind of let me know what you think about each section, if that works.
Sounds good.
Cool. All right. So,
and neither of us have read each other's.
No, I have not seen
I read hers, but I haven't read mine, and vice versa.
Exactly.
Vice versa. I had a teacher who said that in college. She would always say, vice versa.
Vice versa. All right. Elise Poo. You're a Leo sun, Leo moon, Pisces rising, as I've said. So where you're coming from, you've managed to transform pain into meaning. Early on, you learned that tenderness leads to being taken advantage of. You come to believe that the only person you can truly rely on is yourself. You still wrestle with the temptation to isolate yourself in an effort to prevent betrayal. Lately, you're recognizing that always anticipating the worst can blind you to the best opportunities. I don't know that that fits you. I mean, you tell me.
I feel like I'm tenderhearted. I think that I'm definitely open to giving people the opportunity to succeed, but if you want something done right, you have to do it yourself. So I'm not going to say I don't.
What was your Enneagram again?
I don't even remember, honestly.
A 3? Were you a 3?
Which one was that?
I think you were a 3, weren't you? I was a 9.
I think it was a 3. Yeah.
Ooh,
I need to listen to our episode again so I remember who I am.
Clearly, the lessons sunk in for you. I don't know.
I told you this on that episode. It's really hard to cultivate self-growth when you're comfortable where you're at.
That's true.
Like, yeah, I do all right.
It's not sedentarism. It's you're content.
I am content. And that's a hard place to be. That's hard for humans to be content.
It is.
We always want the next thing. I'm very comfortable and happy where I am.
Yep. You should just enjoy it. All right. This winter.
It'll change tomorrow.
Yeah, right. This winter, you are learning to let go. You court love like a not a septic. You court love like a oh my gosh, I can't say this word. Skeptic. Let me take that again from the top. All right. This winter, learning to let go. You court love like a skeptic, always searching for proof that it won't work. You scrutinize their every word and action, gathering evidence to confirm your doubts. Part of you believes that you must earn love through accomplishment, and simply being yourself is not enough. But you're coming around to the idea that love is not a reward for good behavior. It can't be won or lost based on your achievements or failures. This winter, someone who used to be just a friend will become much more. Oh,
Sorry, John.
Look out, John. You'll wake up one day and realize you can't stop thinking about them. Don't assume you already know how relationships go because you know them. Let this one surprise you. Intimacy requires making peace with not being in total control. Let it unfold. Your mind will try to force you into the familiar narrative. Resist the urge to label it. Just be present. And there's some key dates here, which I can read you if you really would like to hear them. But what do you think about that?
I think that I definitely, the part about your accomplishments, that you have to like earn love. I think I don't consciously feel that way, but I definitely think that that's why part of my Enneagram of being such an achiever. I think that's a lot of it. However, I do not anticipate a stranger coming into my life and ruining my marriage. No. So
maybe you'll realize that you're just more deeply in love with John because he's your best friend. I think, honestly, though, I think you grow and change so much as a person, every decade, that it makes sense that you would need to rediscover, if not like in big chunks like that, but at least continuously, your spouse and change and grow together.
Or at least do stuff to make it exciting and keep it new. I think it's so easy to get into the pattern of mom and dad as opposed to husband and wife or, significant others. It definitely, like, now that the kid, like, I don't know, your kids are a little bit younger than mine, but like, we're finally starting to get to the level where I'm like, this weekend, I was like, we put a movie on for them and we went back to bed. And I was able to sleep, like, we both slept until 8:30 when their movie was over. We didn't have to get up with them and entertain them the entire time.
Yeah. Will they go up and like go turn on the TV by themselves?
No, because it's so complicated that I have a hard time figuring it out. I can't possibly imagine. John makes fun of me all the time. He's like, you don't even know how to turn the TV on.
Think of your life.
17 different remotes.
Think of your life if you simplified that and they could come down and just turn the TV on themselves.
And we're working on the place where we could just like make cereal. I think I told you one of the weekends when John was in Oklahoma, kids are so intuitive. Like it was not even that taking care of my kids is that hard because like they're pretty independent, but it's tiring. Like if you're the only parent and like you're on for all of the get ready for school, get to school, drop off, someone's sick, the snow days, like everything. It's just you. And one morning I heard them get up and usually they run in and climb in bed with me and we cuddle for a minute and then we like go on about our day. And I heard them get up and they didn't come in. And I heard them down here. And so I got up and I came downstairs and they're doing something in the kitchen and Blair goes, no, go back to bed. And she pushes me and trying to get me out of the kitchen. And Sloan goes, go back to bed. And so they know they're not allowed to use appliances. And so they brought me an untoasted, uncooked bagel with peanut butter and cream cheese and a bunch of chopped up strawberries. And I was just like, it was just really sweet. They wanted to bring me breakfast in bed.
That's really sweet that they realized you were having a hard time, like you're just doing your best. That's really sweet of them to like go above and beyond.
It was just really like, it's like every time you feel like all I do is yell, all I do is say no, that they don't perceive it that way. They think I'm doing a great job and they wanted to do something for mom. So that was really sweet.
Yay. You deserve it. You are doing a great job.
It was, I pretended to eat that bagel anyway.
So this winter you are learning that love is not something that needs to be earned. It's not an accomplishment you earn through accomplishments. So January through April are crossroads of a major growth period. Right now through beginning of February, make some bold moves. Bold moves right now.
I did get asked to be a preceptor at my job. Does that count?
I don't know what that is.
It means I get to train other CNOs, even though I have no idea what I'm doing.
Making bold moves. And you're finding it easy to say the right things right now until February 8th.
And then I will say the wrong thing.
Yes.
And get demoted.
But hey, February 13th through February 19th, you have to be disciplined. And then you get to be self-indulgent from February 19th to March 13th. So
that sounds great.
And then you have both good and bad tension to end out March.
Well, you know what, though? We leave for our vacation on March 12th. So I get one day of really indulgence. That's great.
Well, you're going to have good and bad tension when you get back from your trip. So
that's the true of any vacation ever.
That's true.
Anyone who sees the laundry that results from a vacation knows.
That's facts. All right. Your spring. Working smarter, not harder. You've learned to take the role of the strong one in your circles. Stepping up when others are struggling gives you a sense of emotional security. You're often the first to volunteer for difficult tasks or to support friends going through hard times. That's true. Your refusal to shy away from pain is a gift to those around you, but always coming to the rescue means you rarely allow yourself to receive much needed care. This spring, you'll discover newfound motivation to be influential in your career without stepping over the needs of others. You learn that your innate emotional intelligence and protective instincts can be shrewd business tactics. These expressions of care win unlikely allies within your social circles. Hone your ability to intune people's underlying desires and goals. Your reputation grows when you read the room and make others feel heard. I feel like that is very true of you.
I think so too. Yeah, I do a pretty good job with that. And also, it's interesting. One of my my dearest friends at work, she is going to be out on maternity leave starting in February. And so it's kind of like we're going to have to all compensate and make up for it, but just trying to emotionally be there for her and then do all the things. It'll be great. She's the one when I go and I shut the door, I can be like,
so you have to step up with her being out because you're gonna have to take on new responsibilities at work. Sounds like
you don't want me in HR. But no, that's good. Yeah, I feel like that's definitely much more in line with my personality and how I perceive myself and the year ahead than what the last one was.
I agree. Early March, you're going to be prone to arguments, but at the end of March, you're going to take charge. Taking charge. And then you're going to learn what makes you happy in May.
Probably a good cup of tea.
I love a good cup of tea.
I'm out of my favorite. I'm drinking one that's supposed to make you lactate. I'm obviously not doing that. So, but I love the taste.
Oh my. No, thank you. I never want to go back to that. I'm good. I just like the taste of it, but it won't make you like breastfeed or whatever. But if you were doing it, it's supposed to help. Yeah. No, I remember I drank that. I had the cookies. We talked ad nauseum about this in our birth episode, but breastfeeding did not work out for me. It was traumatic, stressful. I'm glad I'm done with it.
I just got tired of them biting me at the end, but we were making it to a year.
You're superhuman. That's for sure.
I don't know about that, but they both know that I have an iron will.
Bend to my will. This summer, you are going to become self-sufficient. I feel like you already are very self-sufficient already. Growing up, you often felt unheard by the adults around you. You learn to entertain yourself with stories, jokes, and adventures in your imagination. I remember all the stories you used to tell me
about the dog that flew up the chimney.
Yeah, the wiener dog that would spin his tail around and fly up the chimney. This coping mechanism helped you survive, but left you feeling disconnected from real people. Even now, you deflect with humor when conversations get too serious. You're the first.
That is true.
I do that too. You're the first to suggest a diversion to lighten the mood. You struggle to let your emotions show, fearing that their messiness is too much for others. This summer, it's about questioning whether your ability to spring into action at the smallest provocation protects you or holds you back. Spend time with the things that unsettle you. Examine them from all angles before making a move. You've been taught that discomfort is dangerous, but discomfort is just information, and information can't hurt you. You will learn the difference between reacting and responding, and it will fundamentally change you.
I think that's really like where I need to go, because Veronica bought me that gratitude journal for my birthday, and I've done it some. I haven't been as diligent with it, but it's always on my to-do list. Like, I should do this. And I am definitely very uncomfortable with being uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm always just like, oh, I don't want to explore that emotion. I don't want to explore that feeling. I'm just going to move past it. And I think that part of growing as a person and even in meditation is acknowledging a feeling and not judging it, but just accepting it for what it is. And that's definitely something that I need to get better at. Like, oh, I don't like the feeling that I'm having right now. It feels like anger. I shouldn't be angry. No, it's okay to be angry. It's just a feeling. It's not a thing. Yeah. And then it's interesting, the part where it talked about, you feel like your emotions are too much for other people to handle. When I get really upset about something at work, I always like people can just tell, even if I'm not, they're like, what's wrong with you? You're stressed out. And there's our educator in particular. She'll walk into my office and shut the door. And she's like, I can tell you're having some feelings. let them out. Tell me what's going on. Give me one thing I can do for you. And I'm like, I'm not supposed to feel this way. I'm supposed to keep it together. I'm not, and she's just like, girl, we all have these moments. Like, I think I think one of the benefits of being a predominantly female-led executive team is that a lot of us are very comfortable acknowledging those emotions and like being like, yeah, you can have that feeling and still be good at your job. Let's go on, move through it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's been really good for me to be like, you don't have to have it together all the time, 110% of the time. And like, you can lose your cool with your peers, maybe not in front of your troops, but like with your peers, and that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So. It's definitely nice having, like female leadership or female like executives that understand that and like are relatable on that level. My last job, I had that. The job I'm at now, not so much. That's okay. I mean, finance is a really male-dominated field, so it's not common, I would say, to have that. But it was nice having it in my previous job. I definitely benefited from that. Now I cry in the privacy of a bathroom stall if I need to.
I have an office, so I'm lucky. I can shut the door. That's
true. All right. So fall, raising the bar. You are someone who needs to feel protected. You were often left to fend for yourself growing up. The adults in your life were too preoccupied with their own issues to provide safety and stability. I don't really feel like that's true, but you tell me.
Yeah.
You put on a tough facade, but underneath you fear being left vulnerable and alone again. You deserve people who aren't intimidated by your candor. This fall, candor. This fall, give yourself permission to be loud about what you want. Demanding that your needs be met doesn't make you ungrateful. Let go of the belief that you need to be nice and polite to survive. Quieting your voice to keep the peace only teaches the world to ignore you. Instead, speak up.
I think that I actually am a very tender-hearted person, and people know that I'm like really kind, but by nature of having been in the military, I get the benefit of the doubt that I could kick ass if I had to.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And I have people say that all the time, like, watch out, her Navy's going to come out. And I'm like, I don't really know what that means, but okay. Yeah.
All right, next winter, becoming inevitable. You approach work like a class. Framing everything as an opportunity to gain deeper knowledge is how you ward off boredom and stagnation. You take on passion projects and challenge yourself to learn new skills, even if they aren't practical. Your quest for answers motivates you to keep going when others would quit, but sometimes you spread yourself too thin, taking on more than you can realistically handle. That does sound exactly like you.
What was my Enneagram again?
Right? Next winter, your work will be punctuated by strange synchronicities that lead you down unexpected paths. You've been escaping into your own head, but now the real world is calling you to participate more fully. Fully inhabit the role you play in your own life. Talk to strangers. Check. Embrace the unknown. Check. Follow the breadcrumbs even if you don't know where they lead. They could be the inspiration for your next major project.
It's exciting to know. I think I've only been doing this job a year, and I still know there's tons I don't know, but I'm kind of learning to filter out the stuff I need to pay attention to. And like, if I took every single suggestion that every single leader in my organization gave me, I would be running around constantly, never accomplishing anything. And so I'm getting much better at that. And so being asked to be a preceptor for other CNOs was like, everybody, I have a really highly developed leadership team at my hospital. And so they're all like, oh, the training, whatever. But like, for me, it's a big honor. I've been there only a year, and to be asked to train other CNOs, I think is kind of a big deal.
Absolutely. It is.
At least for me, it is. And so I think that's really exciting. And then I don't really have a huge drive, at least right now, to be the CEO of a hospital, but it makes me, my boss is already like, okay, you're going to be a preceptor this year. And then this time next year, we need to talk about where you're going to grow in the company. And I don't know what that looks like. I don't know what, other than doing what I'm doing, what that would look like. But I'm excited to kind of continue to glean knowledge and information and grow my people leading skills to be able to discover what that looks like.
Sorry, my microphone cut out just the right second. Instead of people leading, it sounded like you said people eating skills.
Those too. I love a good snack.
Just to eat them alive. Well, cool. So, they have a little summary here at the end. A friendship will unexpectedly turn romantic. In one way or another, you will find that working with others leads to better results than trying to do it all alone. which is so funny because you literally just said, you have to do it, I have to do it right at the end of the day. Stay open to unexpected alliances. Success multiplies when you share it. The people around you will appreciate your candor. Don't be afraid to speak up loudly about what you want and need for your relationships. Being straightforward doesn't make you ungrateful. They will respect you more for being direct, even if it feels uncomfortable at first. Your voice deserves to be heard. And that's your 2025.
I'm going to have to get another non-alcoholic champagne, and then I'm going to read you yours.
Okay.
I'll be right back.
I'll put in we'll be right back in 5 minutes.
All right. Let's talk about Breanna's year of seeing clearly.
Dun, dun, dun. Dun, dun, dun. Ooh, that sounded nice. Very
You are a Sun Gemini, a Moon Sagittarius, and a Rising Libra. You are a complicated woman.
Apparently. I don't know what any of that means. I'll have to look it up, but...
Where you're coming from, you've managed to stay curious and mentally agile despite the world's attempts to make you rigid and inflexible. Growing up, you were criticized for changing your mind and exploring multiple interests. You've come to believe that you need to specialize and stick to one thing to be taken seriously. You still struggle with feeling flighty and inconsistent compared to others. Lately, you've been realizing that adaptability is its own form of mastery in a world where the only constant is change. How do you feel about that?
I think it's very true for me. I don't know if it's just my nature or undiagnosed ADHD or what it is, but I get very, I move on from thing to thing pretty quickly. Like I'll hyper focus on like one thing, and then I'll be all about that for like, a couple months, and then all of a sudden I'm doing onto the next thing. And I definitely think with my background, so I got my undergraduate in the arts, was very
literally art.
Yeah, art, like fine art, and painting and printmaking. Minor in art history. Went to school after undergrad to study photography, and then went to grad school originally to study marketing. Ended up switching to finance, and I'm in finance now. So kind of like a 180. And it does feel
very successful in all of those fields.
Oh, thanks. It does very much feel like I have to, like, if I want it to be considered successful, especially when you talk to other people in finance, it's like, I still get looks sometimes where they're like, oh, you don't have your undergraduates in fine arts. And like, if you were in that world and you're not in that world until you retire, it's like, you were not a poser, but like, oh, you couldn't hack it. You couldn't make it. It's a very like stressful.
And you were like
environment. And between like this and a couple other things that I've started working on, it is, I have to keep telling myself like, it's okay to have like
creative outlets
and varied interests. And it's okay to like carve out time to do these things. Cause it is.
You want to see my knitting square that I've been working on?
I would love to see your knitting square. It's really important. And it's not selfish to have those varied interests. And it's okay if I want to go from thing to thing to thing, as long as I'm not dropping, hundreds of dollars each time I want to experience a different hobby or whatever. I'm coming more, the older I get, the more I'm liking becoming a jack of all trades, master of none.
I think it's also actually makes you more well-rounded and more relatable to any other client, customer, or person that you speak to. Anyone who's so one-dimensional, that's the only thing they can focus on, that's not interesting.
Yeah, and I'm finding ways to like cross over my knowledge from things that I previously were heavily involved in. So for example, for this, I'm using my lighting system.
Oh, from when you did photography?
From when I did photography to light this. And then
I did not do that.
Learning new skills like video editing and doing this, like I'm sure I'll be able to parlay that into something else if I ever, pick up a different hobby. It'd be nice to be able to have this video editing skill in my back pocket. So I'm okay with being a jack of all trades master.
I'm going to grab my knitting square. It's right over here.
I got to see it.
So while the kids are getting ready for bed, I was literally fighting with like yarn because I bought like specialty yarn. I'm going to try to knit a sweater. I've never done this before, but this is my swatch that I blocked, which means I got it wet and then I pinned it, and this is the appropriate.
It looks
gauge.
nice. I like that. Is it pinkies?
It's pink, yeah.
It's really pretty.
It's like hand dyed, so it's not perfect, and so like the imperfections almost make it look shimmery.
It's almost like heathered because it's like I like it a lot. That's pretty.
Well, I will knit mine first, and if it turns out anywhere close to looking like a sweater, I will knit you one in whatever color you choose. This is also a washable yarn, the lady at the knit shop told me. But you can't just buy your yarn at Joann Fabrics anymore when you start knitting sweaters. You got to buy the fancy stuff. So they say. Anyway, moving on. Sorry.
I love that you knit. You're just like a little old lady.
I love that you probably knit better than I do. You took a class in it in college.
I did.
Well, I think Granny did most of your projects.
Yeah, knitting was not my forte. I did learn how to make nets. And we did netting, netting.
Become fisherwomen.
We did basket weaving, I think, at one point.
Underwater?
It was not underwater. I don't remember now, actually. I think part of it was because I think to bend it, you have to have it wet. I don't remember. I also took jewelry making and metalworking. That was really interesting, too.
I remember you made that cool thing. Like you did something with acid where like you made a plate and like you.
Oh, yeah, that was printmaking.
Yeah,
Are you talking about?
That was cool.
Where I made like the
print, it was like For Tom is like the one that you made for Granny. And it's like the bowl.
Yeah, that was etching. Yeah, so you take a
really cool.
plate and it's like draw what you want, and then you put like into an acid wash, and it eats into the plate, and then you put ink on it and scrape it off, and you run it through a big press.
Do you realize how like cultured and just diverse you are? Like you can like go sell stocks and bonds on Wall Street and like make someone's fortune and invest for them, and then you could also like etch their child's face into a piece of metal while knitting them a net to catch fish with to feed their family. Like you're an amazing person.
I'll be
I'm
good to have
a romance novel someday, and you're going to be the main character.
I'll be good to have around in a zombie apocalypse. Speaking of that, oh my gosh! So we're going through and cleaning out a bunch of old drawers because we're getting rid of some old furniture and getting some new. Or put a whole setup. You remember our bedroom upstairs? How we have like bed on one side and there's kind of like empty space that we just had like junk in on the other side. Mm-hmm. So we've cleared all that out, and we've bought a love seat we're going to put up there. We've gotten a little TV stand, and we're going to get a new TV up there and have like a little like sitting area up there.
Nice.
Which will be lovely. But we have old drawers there, and Chris was cleaning them out. And I came home last night from we picked up dinner for us, and I came home. He was like, we need to have a conversation. I'm like, uh-oh, what's going on? He's like, we need to talk about this. What is this? And he had a notebook. And as soon as he showed me the notebook, I knew exactly what it was. And I was mortified. So I was cackling at the same time. So right after college, I worked at a construction management company because I couldn't find a job. And anyone who's worked construction, like so many people have worked construction, it's very cyclical. So in the summer, it was very busy, but in the winter, it was completely dead. Then I had nothing to do. My boss told me to bring a book in to read. And so I was like, I'm going to write my own book. So I have this notebook where I'm like outlining this like novel that I'm going to write apparently. And I didn't even read it. I'm going to go back and read it because it's going to be I'm sure it's going to be funny, but like the amount of cringe that I'm sure is in this book that how old was I? Maybe like 23, 24-year-old was like, I know so much about writing and in the world. Was I a lit major? No. Had I read several romance books?
Did you even take an online seminar for a weekend about writing a novel?
No, nothing. Just going in cold. So, yeah, my husband.
I didn't say hot. I bet it was a romance novel.
I feel like you read my diary. He's like, you should have left it around then.
Should have put a lock on it.
So yeah, my husband found my crappy attempt at writing a novel that I completely forgot about from over 10 years ago.
I really need to see this.
Oh, no one needs to see this. I'm sure it's hideous.
Chris after we're done here. All right. So this winter, starting fresh, you learned early on that success comes from self-discipline. Routines help you stay calm in the face of uncertainty. You're often the first to start your workday and the last to leave. Weekends are spent ticking items off your to-do list. Your strong work ethic has served you well in achieving your ambitions, but sometimes you use work to avoid dealing with the parts of life that can't be tidied up or easily controlled. This winter, your well-worn routines will be disrupted. You'll be going through the motions, checking boxes to feel in control. Now you'll find power in going off script. Embrace the mess of a first draft. Find beauty in asymmetry and rough edges. Throw out your measuring sticks. Live life on your own terms. When you give yourself a free space, you'll be surprised how quickly new things come to fill it.
I don't wanna. I like my routines. That's so true.
So I will say, I texted you before the show and I was like, I'm reading some of this and some of this is like, oh yeah, that sounds like Breanna. And some of it I'm like, So I was really interested to see if the parts that I was like, nah, that's not her.
Oh, I'm so curious what parts you have those feelings towards. But my reaction to that is I am very much routine. I think that definitely goes, again, to my number 9 Enneagram. Go back to that episode and listen if you want to know what we're talking about. But I very much like...
I need to do that too.
She needs to reevaluate herself. I very much like the routine. I just kind of like being able to switch off and just like check things off my list. And I do resonate a little bit with the like the messiness of the first draft, because I do feel like sometimes not that if it's not perfect, I can't do it, but I get intimidated, I think, sometimes when I'm trying to start something new. And how I kind of overcome that is I'm just like, it could be the worst. Just like get it on the page, just make a first attempt.
And I literally framed a post, like this really pretty print that I bought off Etsy that says, done is better than perfect.
Yes, exactly. And so I think I have to definitely remind myself of that constantly. And like I said, I'm trying to re-embrace my creative, passionate, like side of me. And so I think part of me is very much like, well, I don't know. I almost feel like not a fraud, but like I go into finance with an art background. I don't like, part of you always thinks like, oh, you don't have the same qualifications that everyone else has. And then on the flip side, well, I've been out of the art, like, and creative field for so long. Like, do I even really have the ability or like wherewithal to do this still too, which is so silly, right? Because art is so subjective and it's just about being creative and enjoying it. So I think I can see where that would apply.
I think that of all the paragraphs I read, I remember this one being like, I could see that, like the routine part, especially. I think that you've taught me a lot as a mom of just being like, you know what? The laundry didn't get put away. It doesn't matter. Like, I think not to say that like your laundry is never put away. I'm just saying like
it isn't.
But I'm just saying, but you remind me constantly, like being a good mom isn't the check boxes. You're like, so what? Get over it. It's fine. Like, and I don't know. I admire you. I think you do a great job.
Thanks. I think you do a great job.
Just so you know, from now, January 7th to March 5th, you are overconfident. So check.
Rein it in, Breanna.
But February 13th through March 18th, you will be in the spotlight for Sex and Love. So, Chris.
Well, that's not great because he's like leaving for a trip February 14th. Well, he's going to Tulsa. His godson is having his first communion, I think is what it is.
Nice.
Confirmation first communion.
March 18th, you're fine.
Yeah, he better be.
Chris, you have been warned. Shots fired across the bow.
You said you were going for a day. You've been gone for 2 months.
That does not bode well.
I mean, that's kind of what happened when he went to Europe and got COVID and got stuck there.
When I had to write him a letter to get back in the country. Too many crickets. Him and his family.
Yeah, him, his dad, and his brother-in-law stuck in a...
I literally sat on the phone with them for like 15 minutes and watched them take their COVID tests and watched the results. And I was like, I know this seems a bit extra, but I don't want anybody coming after me.
Yeah, the three men with COVID living in a probably 200 square foot room for at least a week, if not more.
Was there room service? That's really the question.
I don't think so. It was a fairly budget hotel.
I don't do that. That's why I don't go on great vacations. I'm bougie. All right. So this spring, getting exactly what you want.
Yes.
Who doesn't want to hear that?
Yes.
Growing up, you felt unseen and unappreciated. You put on elaborate plays for your family, but no one paid attention. Your core wound is not being recognized for your special qualities. Are you having like the Uptown Girl moment in your head right now?
I'm also imagining, I don't know if you remember this. I went through one of my mini phases where I was obsessed with magic and magic shows. And I made I spent all weekend putting together a lame ass magic show, and I made you all sit and watch it. Do you remember this?
No, I think I blocked it out.
I just remember one of the tricks was I took a like a box you would put like a necklace in, like a necklace box. You cut a hole in the bottom of it and put some like tissue in, and then you stick your finger through the hole and lay it like that, and then you put some like powder on top of your finger, and you're like, it's a mummified finger. And you show people literally your finger in a box.
Have you seen the Family Guy? Like, Jesus didn't do miracles. He was more of a. He's like. That's what I'm having a moment of.
That's
anyway,
what.
Back to your horoscope.
Back to my horoscope.
Your core wound is not being recognized for your mummified finger or special qualities. In response, you learn to be your own biggest cheerleader. You give yourself the praise and validation you crave. You're the first to celebrate your own achievements, but deep down, you still long for others to truly see you. You want to be chosen to feel like you matter to someone else. You've been escaping into fantasy worlds for so long that reality feels like an intrusion. This spring, you will realize the real magic is in living in the real world, not just the ones you build in your own mind. It's time to take responsibility for your visions. Stop waiting for a savior or perfect timing. The universe will respond to your efforts. Enjoy the movements when you realize you finally hold the things you've wished for in your hands.
Ooh, I like that.
I just feel like I remember laying on the bed watching you play Zelda for hours on end, and that was your escape.
I still do that. I am very like flights of fancy, daydream. I daydream constantly.
I just remember like that was like some of our biggest bonding is like you had that like little TV set up in your bedroom on your dresser, and you'd be playing Zelda, and I'd just like come in and I'd like lay there and watch you, and I'd take a really good nap. It was great. We bonded that way.
You
Or
would have like, are you gonna play Nintendo 64? Because I really want to take a nap. That's funny. So I don't know. I didn't ever feel overlooked or by like our parents.
I never felt that way either.
So that first part, I definitely did the like shows and plays and stuff like that. I like to do that, but I didn't really feel like I was ignored by our parents. I feel like our parents were pretty supportive of and like involved.
Well, and I think too, I have so much more respect for the fact that they both worked full time and how much they did now that I have kids. Like Mom always talks about how, I never played with you. And I was like, I remember her playing board games with us. I mean, I don't remember a ton of her like playing Magic, but I'm not very good at doing that with my kids either.
No, I'm not either. And honestly, like, I feel like if we had someone who was organizing and like leading the play for us, our imaginations wouldn't have grown to the extent that they have. And like, we wouldn't have been able to do the self-play. And like, I don't know. I think there's something to be said for, obviously you want to be involved in your kids' lives and like, you know, interact with them and play with them and be there and be part of it. But I also think there's a really valid reason to encourage self-play and to have them explore that imagination and like form those sibling bonds. Like both your girls play together, and Nora and Luke are finally getting to the age where they play together. It's mostly Nora bossing Luke around.
That's great for her. I love that.
But I don't know. I feel like you and I had so many adventures growing up where
I just remember like dressing up and like running through the sprinklers in our dress up clothes. Like we could always entertain ourselves. And I think, I don't know how true this is, and I'm sure someone from the big city would say it's different, but I remember growing up, or maybe it was like when I first joined the Navy, people saying like, oh, well, kids who grew up in like, not the country, but like they didn't have stuff to do all the time are a lot better at entertaining themselves, because kids who grew up in like New York City always had something to go do. Yeah. And they don't know how to entertain themselves. And I think, especially during COVID, like I'm so blessed that I had twins that they had each other to entertain. Mm-hmm. And now they're like, Mom, we're taking our American Girl dolls outside. And like, literally the dog thinks she's one of them. She goes with them and tries to play too. But like, they'll just go sit out there and like build a fort for their American Girl dolls and spend 2 hours in the sunshine.
I mean, I think you could say we grew up in the country. I mean, we grew up literally next to a cornfield. In the Beckoning White House. I mean, Moss Creek.
To go in there because you could get really lost in a cornfield.
It's true. Do you remember we used to play the game where we would take a tube sock and then stuff another sock or something down the bottom of it, and then we would like whip it around our head and just like whip it into each other. Do you remember that?
Who quit first?
Yeah. Do you remember that? I'm pretty sure they do that in prison, but with change in the sock, and then they beat the shit out of each other.
Ready. We are so ready. We could go to prison. We like the dynamic, more sister duo.
That's right. But no, I like that spring. That feels very much encouraging to the things that I am working on and ideas that I have to like push forward with them. I like that. That's good.
You finally hold the things you wish for in your hands.
I would wish for the winning lottery ticket. Can I hold that?
May 10th through 17th says assertive and confident action. All right.
Good to know.
Letting love in. That's not a season. I guess it's part of spring. You're letting love in. Do you want me to read all of this to you?
Go for it.
You approach love like a game of chess. You always anticipate your partner's next move. You're quick to spot inconsistencies between what they say and do, and you struggle to fully trust. Somewhere along the way, you learn that people are unreliable, that words and actions don't always align. It's true for anybody. Now you're trying to understand that a person can mean what they say in the moment and still falter. To accept inherent vulnerability in loving someone, knowing they may one day change their mind. It didn't say summer, but I guess it's summer. This summer, you'll grapple with the gap between your thoughts and reality when it comes to love. You'll notice your mind spinning stories, reading into every interaction for a hidden meaning. It will feel maddening at times. Can you allow the relationship to unfold organically without forcing it into preconceived narratives? Love exists in the space between utter certainty and total confusion. It won't be easy to quiet your overactive mind, but you will begin to learn how to be present in love without dating or darting into your own worst case scenarios. Start small. Don't date your worst case scenarios. Dart.
I will not date my worst case scenarios, nor dart them. I don't know. That doesn't really resonate with me, to be honest with you. I feel like I'm actually the opposite of that. I don't overthink things, and I don't, how to say this? Not that I don't think about things, but
I think you give Chris the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, that's it.
100% of the time. Like, you're not ever overly critical of him.
Yeah. I the very much benefit of the doubt. And maybe it's just because Chris and I have a very trusting, comfortable relationship. Like, I don't know. That part doesn't really resonate with me, but hey, it's not all going to be winners.
Well, so summer's just going to be your meh season.
Meh.
Although you should know that August 2nd through the 7th, which is my birthday week, you will be compromising more than usual. So
it's because it's also who else's birthday?
A party for me?
Who else's birthday?
Compromising for me?
Who else's birthday?
Oh yeah, I forgot.
My daughter.
The most important birthday ever. The best birthday gift I've ever been given. My niece.
I do apologize, but I likely will be planning a birthday party for her versus you. I do love you.
I love you too. But 39 repeating is not the big birthday. It's fine.
You're right there?
Okay, the soundproofing in this house is horrific. John has the door shut and he's watching some show and I feel like he's next to me. Why are they fighting?
That's fine. That's understandable.
Fall. Living without limits. Bum, bum, bum.
Bum, bum, bum.
You are someone who needs to express yourself directly. Growing up, you often felt stifled and controlled by authority figures. They didn't allow you space for your strong will and independent spirit. All I can see is Breanna coming down the stairs in a pink sweatshirt, teal sweatpants, and marigold socks. I'm just saying.
It's called fashion. Look it up.
As an adult, you still bristle when others try to tell you what to do. You crave the freedom to speak your mind without having to quiet your voice. You will come to understand that joy is a feeling, not an accomplishment. This fall, let yourself be off the hook for not being the most impressive person in every room. No one is keeping score but you. It's time to retire the belief that your worth is determined by your output. You are inherently valuable. The more you let yourself simply exist without constant self-critique, the more of it you'll feel at any given moment.
I like that. I think that goes more additionally to what I was talking about earlier, just with feeling valid in your career.
I love that joy is a feeling, not an accomplishment. And I think that's something that, at least personally, I struggle with. Like, kind of like that chasing the Joneses syndrome.
It's not a destination. It's a
It's part of the journey.
Yeah, it's an entire process that never ends. That sounds very bleak.
You are inherently valuable. The more you let yourself simply exist without constant self-critique, the more of it you'll feel at any given moment.
That's good too. Yeah, I mean,
when did you start the job you're at now?
July.
So you'll be a year in July. So you'll be at like a year and a half. I bet this fall, it'll be really, we should redo this episode based on these at the end of the year and see if like,
to see how like it fit in.
Like we should watch this episode independently and then redo it.
Ooh, yeah. That's interesting. Because
you're viewers.
That's exciting. So it'll be interesting to see if it aligns at all with anything that happened this year.
Yeah. Did you feel stifled and controlled by authority figures?
I don't know that I felt controlled. I think for me, that probably goes to more, again, like I was very daydreamy, very head in the clouds, wandering off.
You and Dad butted heads a lot more than he and I butted heads in high school, mostly because I wanted the green calculator, not the clear calculator.
I remember that fight.
Everyone remembers that fight. The neighbors remember that fight. But I feel like you and Dad butted heads a lot more because he like wanted you to be like in his way, and you were so creative that was harder.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely in high school we butted heads a lot. And from my perspective, you'd have to ask him what his perspective was. But for me, it was more of I wanted to be independent and do my own thing. And he wanted to be, like, as any parent would be, this is no fault of his, wanted to be involved and insert himself in the things that I'm doing and wants to be, part of my life and what I'm doing. And like a bratty teenager, I didn't want that. So
my most poignant, like, Breanna's like memory in high school is you were dating that guy and we were literally in the pink room. I think we were playing like Duck Hunt, or I was watching you play it or something. And he called and you were like, yeah, what do you need? And he was like, oh, I just want to talk. And you were like, I don't have anything to say.
Did I really say that?
Or something along those lines. And you like hung up and then you were like, let's get back to playing. Like, I don't know what he wanted. And I just remember being like,
man, I'm a bitch.
No, I think it was just so great. You were like, we have nothing to say to each other. Why are you calling me? Like,
I still am like that. I feel like I have put in a lot of effort in my relationship with you because I know for you that's really important to like call and chat. And so I also just don't stop calling until you answer. That's true. So I flex and know that. And I feel like I've gotten a lot better at like just chit-chatting on the phone. Although now I'm always like, save it for the podcast. But yeah, I've just never been a phone person. Someone who like just calls to like chat for hours. It's just really funny that now we have this podcast that we literally
all we do is chat. I think too, for me at least, we were really close when we were little, and then like in middle school and high school, we were like not on the same page. When I went to college, it got a little better. When you went to college, it got a lot better. And then when I had kids, it just kept getting better and better. And I feel like literally like the tipping point for me, at least in our adult relationship, was when you had Nora and I came to visit. It was like, it just kind of like somehow clicked. And so like you put forth the effort to be like, she's calling me and all I want to do is listen to my podcast when I'm driving into work. She's calling again. She calls like every other day. What is she doing? But like, I also just think that, you're so driven and you don't have a lot of outlet. Like you don't have, like I've gone on girls' nights pretty regularly down here and I don't feel like you have that in Chicago where you're at. And I think a lot of it's just like, cause you're in the suburbs, you're not quite in the city, but you're not exactly where you want to be long-term. And so you're kind of in this like transition period. And so I get to be that for you.
Yay.
Lucky you, whether you want it or not. So
I do.
It's funny. I look forward to talking to you, and Mom will be like, well, did you talk to your sister? And I'm like, yes, probably more than you.
That's probably true. I do talk to you probably the most of all of our family for sure. I think it's probably to Chris, then you. Then I don't know who would be after you. Probably my mom and Chris's mom are probably tied after that. But usually it's more of like, we're not calling just to chat. We're calling because it's like logistics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think that's the nice part too, is like Our schedules are similar enough that like my commute's a lot shorter than yours, but like I can catch you on parts of your commute to be like, what's for lunch? Chipotle. Me too. That's great.
Good talk. I just love it. You'll call and be like, so yeah. That's what I'm like. All right, she doesn't actually have anything she just wants to say. She just called to listen to someone else breathe.
To hear to make sure I'm alive. Just so you know, the September 21st through the 24th, you need to release your tensions. The 18th and through 23rd of November, you're going to be facing an intense rivalry.
Ooh. My rival enters the chat. I'm excited to see who that's going to be. November when?
The 18th through the 23rd. That's like the week of Thanksgiving. What are you doing for Thanksgiving?
Taking down that turkey, baby. One drumstick at a time.
Your rival is poultry.
What was the thing for September?
September was releasing tension, the 21st through the 24th.
That's over my wedding anniversary.
Oh, the 21st through the 29th also says a surge of passion and creative energy. Gonna
have a
Don't go on OnlyFans, Breanna.
Man, if someone wants to pay me for feet pics, I will sell. I'm just putting that out there.
Or ears. You do have lovely ears.
Is that a thing? People pay for ears?
If there's a thing of it, if you can imagine it, it's on the internet. So.
That's probably true.
Next winter, though, we're going to shore up your foundations. You learned to be self-sufficient from a young age. You took on household chores without being asked.
That's not true. That's not true at all.
Striving to be the perfect child. Deep down, you feared that making mistakes would cause your parents to withdraw their love. Even now, you rarely ask for help. Pushing yourself to handle everything alone. You're the friend others rely on, but you don't let them see your struggles. This independence keeps people at arm's length. You long for closeness, but fear vulnerability. You've been numbing out with comforting routines, but they're no longer providing the security you crave. Next winter, you will develop discipline to delay gratification in order to build something lasting, something you can commit to for the long haul. It's time to put in the unglamorous work. The results won't be flashy at first, but they'll be real. You'll come to realize that there is a different kind of pleasure in sustained effort. You're building a legacy, habit by habit. I like that last part. I think that's
I do like the last part.
Great turn of phrase.
That first part is not true to me at all. That was not me as a child. But I definitely resonate with sorry, I have a hair that's like been bothering me.
Have you seen my hair this trip?
I definitely resonate with the not asking for help. Definitely like the being vulnerable, struggling to be vulnerable, I think is hard for me. It's interesting because like I feel like I'm pretty good. I would define myself as somewhat of an empath, like picking up on the emotions of others and being a good listening ear and giving advice and encouraging people to like be kind to themselves and, you know, this and that. But it's hard for me to open up about myself. So does that make sense? Like I'm very good at like one direction, but not good at the other.
Yeah. I think that even when we hang out with our like core group of friends, I'll like overshare and they'll be like, Elise. And then, but like, yes. And like, you keep me in check, but like, you don't do that. And like, it's like very few and far between that you let that vulnerability show. And I think it's funny. I love my husband and we have a wonderful relationship, but I'm much more comfortable letting my girlfriends see those vulnerabilities than I am my husband. Does that make sense? No,
I would agree with that for me, if that makes sense.
You are the friend that others rely on, but you don't let them see your struggles. I would agree with that about you.
Yeah, I'd say so
like
too.
People know they can call you if they need you, but like you don't ever.
I suffer in silence.
Yeah, I think, and I'm the only person you probably even share when you're struggling. And that's because I literally call and I'm like, we're going to sit here and listen to each other breathe if you don't talk to me.
No, 100%. I think you're probably the only person that I would call if I truly was like, I need to talk to somebody and I can't talk to my husband or whatever it would be. Because I talk to him about stuff, but
it's just different. It is. Key dates for the winter. December 18th through the 26th. Over the holidays, you'll be having important relationship conversations.
That sounds ominous.
But the 20th through the 29th, love will be easy.
Okay. So we have a legit come to Jesus moment, but then we're good afterwards.
Yes. All right. So this year you will wake up to the magic of reality and stop escaping into fantasies.
I don't wanna.
You finally see the ways you've avoided conflict to maintain surface level peace. Speaking what you want will feel raw at first, but will lead to deeper connections. In one way or another, you will disrupt your well-worn routines and find pleasure in going off script. The people around you will admire your audacity. They'll cheer you on as you pursue your deepest desires without apology and refuse to shrink your ambitions to please others. Those who matter will be delighted by how bold you are.
Are you delighted with my boldness?
I am so delighted. I feel like I'm a minion. Boss.
It is interesting how so much of that aligns with my Enneagram, though, in terms of like the routines and not wanting to like rock the boat, but needed to push past that. So
I think it's interesting. I was talking to John about what we were going to talk about tonight. And he was like, well, you know that they make all those things so that everybody can see themselves in it. And he said there was some, I don't know if it's Harvard or some study at a school where they gave everyone like a piece of paper and they're like, this was written based on the quiz you took last week. This is just for you. Like, this is about you.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And so they said, everybody read it and they're like, everyone raise your hand if you feel like this was really like about you. And most of the students raised their hands. They said, all right, pass your paper to the person to your left. And all of the papers were exactly the same.
I'd believe that. I've said before, and I will say it again. I don't know if I said it on this podcast, but like the whole like astrology and tarot card reading and palm reading, all that, I truly just view it as a method of self-reflection and self-meditation. I don't really see it as like it's going to tell your future exactly how it's going to happen. I just view it very much as like, here's this kind of like blanket statement, and then like we've been doing, like, how does that really apply to me? And let's talk about
which parts of that do you resonate with?
Yeah, exactly. So I definitely agree with that study, and I think it's proving the point of like it's not valid in terms of like a fortune telling, future telling situation, but it's more of like helping you unpack yourself.
Right.
Awesome. Was that is that the rest of my
that was
horoscope?
It.
Nice.
Essentially, you are going to have great changes this year and tell people that you don't care what they think. You're going to do you.
I love it. Well, that's that on our horoscopes, I think. I mean, unless you have anything else you want to add at the end here, but I think it was good. This is going to be a good year ahead of us, I think.
I think so. I think we need to save these and revisit at the end of 2025 and see what happened and what didn't.
Yeah, that'd be a good. We'll obviously do a holiday episode in December. I'm already thinking about December. It's January. But we definitely should do, or maybe like early the January 2026. We'll go back and we'll rewatch this episode.
So you know what that means, people? We're here to stay.
You bitches thought you were going to get away from us, but you can't. All right. We are on social media, so come and follow us and hang out and comment because we love that. We are on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube as chitchatcheerspodcast. So feel free to check us out, follow us, give us a like. That'd be great. If you could rate, review, and rate, review, and subscribe to this episode wherever you get your podcasts, or on YouTube if you're watching the video. That's super helpful for us just to track who's
and
watching.
A special shout out to all of our friends in Finland.
I know. We have like random in Finland and Norway. We have like random little listener contingent out there. I love it.
Whoop, whoop. We're coming to visit. Bring us a sweater.
Hey. Yeah, there's like, we have like literally 5 or 6 different cities in that area that are listening. So
we
thanks,
could
guys.
Go on tour.
I don't know what we would even talk about on tour.
I don't know, but we will find them. And
I love
we will
it.
talk to them.
All right. We will catch you guys soon. I'm going to try and get back into the every other week cadence that we had going into the holidays. I can't promise that we will be on time every time, but like a true working mom, we're just out here doing our best, and I'll show up eventually. So,
and the minivan will be there fumes or non-fumes. So it'll be great.
That's right. With snacks in tow, movies playing. It's all good. All right, guys. We love you so much. Thank you for listening, and we'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.